Hi everyone, it's Kasia from Tarot Map, and today I'm going to treat you to a VR to our lovely Candy and Candy Soil and Soul channel. I'm going to link her original video in the description box, of course, and Candy's hashtag that she wants us to engage in is called Top 10 Curiosity Decks. If you follow me for a while, you might be, aware that I am considering myself to be a bit of a curiosity. So I'm always out for a lookout, for interesting, curious, different, original decks. Also, if you have been working with cards for many years, that's another reason when you kind of try to, make your brain work and your intuition work in a different way. So you are looking for decks that are not usual, that step outside of the walked path, or paved path, and you are searching for something to just stay alive, stay curious, stay interested in the subject. And as we know, tarot, which never gets boring, never gets boring, never gets boring. So let's start with one of my oldest decks, okay? And this is the Transparent Tarot. As the name suggests, the cards are transparent and you can read them in a couple of different ways. So you can read them linear, but the nicest way to get the most unusual aspect of this deck is when you actually put the cards on top of one another. So if we have a deck that you can now take a look at the symbols combined, right? They melt into one another. You get such an interesting way of seeing things. So for example, when I look at this particular image, I can see a person who is, fiery, who wants to do something. We have also a chariot card here, so the two horses. But in this particular deck, they kind of like going both directions, right? And it seems like there might be an obvious direction, obvious choice. This one horse, it's darker and also seems like it's a bit more visible and it looks towards the future from my perspective. And then there's the other horse, like the white horse, but it's not as prominent as the other one. It looks towards the past. The woman is actually facing that particular option, and on the future facing horse, you see this huge sword right at the neck of the horse. And I was just looking at it and thinking, for the sake of this example, if you maybe are faced with two choices or two options, in this particular, if I draw these cards or if a client of mine drew these cards, I would say, well, maybe the choice that is most obvious, it's not going to work out that great for you, because there is this just something that cuts the head of the horse. So maybe it's worth to at least investigate or research or get inspired about something less obvious, something that's not so visible, and maybe something that you have been thinking about in the past, or something that connects you to your previous experiences. So not something that is jarring and loud, yes, me, but something that's less obvious. So this deck is just incredible, and I love it so much that now I'm using it also for the Decanic walk with it's Susan's Chang book, The Canic Walk, and this was the last card we were working on. It's Eight of Swords, and it's connected to Jupiter, which is the Wheel of Fortune in Tarot, and to Gemini, which is Lovers. The Jupiter is in detriment, so it doesn't feel very good in Gemini because it rules the opposing sign, so it's in opposition's house. And that's why maybe combination of Lovers and Gemini and Wheel of Fortune connects kind of crazy and not very positively looked at card, Eight of Swords. And we can see in this particular deck how everything is encompassed in your heart anyway, and whatever changes need to happen And when you take a small perspective, you're kind of stuck in this wheel of fortune, like hamster wheel. But if you come out of your heart or envelop the changes or the stuckness with your heart, there's a possibility of motion. So it's a fascinating deck, and that's basically maybe all I want to say about it, because I don't want this video to be lasting forever, and as you can imagine, I have more than 10 choices. Okay, so let's go with another one. I have a couple of, let's call it, religious decks. So there is this deck called Master Tarot, and it has images that depict stories from the Bible, from the New Testament, like so-called Jesus's stories. It's kind of like a tarot. It has major arcana. It has these minors, but they don't go in suits. They just follow the numbers up. And the court cards are different figures from the testaments. So this is the artwork. It's kind of coherent, but not so coherent. It's a little bit different. And I actually really enjoy it. And this deck, these are the backs. I just wanted to read something because it's not really like a Catholic or Christian deck. It says, this is a work of love for the Master Jesus, not an exercise in Christianity or in Gnosticism or any other religion, whether New Age or traditional. Both the artist who illustrated the cards, either Amerigo Fulci is the artist or Mario Montano. I think Amerigo Fulci maybe is the artist. So both of the artist and the writer do not feel themselves to be Christian, as we do not feel Buddhist or Hindu, in spite of our love and respect for Gautam Buddha and Lord Krishna. In fact, though we love many masters, we do not belong to any religion. Ours is a spiritual search. We are not after the dogmas and precepts that religion can offer, after theology or morality. Rather, we seek to experience divinity as it manifests in life, and it unfolds in our subjectivity, in ourselves. So, you know, I like it. I like it. So this is a deck that if you a spiritual seeker, you can definitely take a look at this one. I'm not sure if it's out of print or not. I know that I got it secondhand from one of the sites. It's printed by A.G.M. Müller in 1996 in Switzerland. So that's at least the version that I have. Another one that you might find interesting, and this is William Blake Tarot. So this is by Ed Buren. I hope I pronounced this well. William Blake Tarot. This is, I have, you know, the edition. This is the first edition, I think. And it's been republished now. It looks different. It has, like, I think, green book. You can Google it. I think Ed is still selling his decks. And I actually really love the guidebook. It's very interesting. It has really, like, it takes William Blake's work, but also puts it in the context of tarot. And it makes it also quite practical in a sense that it always has these keywords that like you can work with them, you know. It's accepting responsibility for yourself, self-sacrifice for a higher goal, and so on and so forth. It's not totally out there in, you know, some archetypal realm, but the suits are changed. There is music suit, there is these are the major arcana with the big painting suit. There is I know that there is a poetry suit and science suit. So if you're a fan of William Blake's work, yeah, you will probably really enjoy this one. And it's a great deck for just doing some work for yourself as well. Do I have any other religious decks? Well, we can probably mention Ellen Lorenzi Prince here, the Minoan Tarot. It's a very curious and original and very untypical deck for the sake of, you know, when you think of tarot, like, that's like, you look at the deck and it's just artifacts from Minoan culture taken from vases and other stuff. So Ellen Lorenzi Prince did something totally unique and original here, but it's a very difficult deck to read if you're not familiar so much with the meanings of these images. The book, as usual, with all Ellen Lorenzi prints is amazing. So if we want to, why don't we pick one card? I just want to share with you not everything from the book, but let's just pick one archetype. So we have Sky Mistress here. And as I said, like everything has changed, but Sky Mistress, that's how the book looks. So you get a little description and then you get some meanings. So when we go for the meanings, Sky Mistress, as she says, read omens in the flight and appearance of birds, which is such a wonderful annotation or connotation to the bird language and tarot in general. You become greater when you undertake to understand the unfamiliar. For best results, work with the movements of the sun and moon. So this is basically, as with Ellen Lorenzi print, she just gives you a little, little snippets of wisdom, and then you have to work out the rest by yourself. I was thinking also about this Aura-Soma deck, and what goes maybe similar with it is the Farbender angle. So the colors of the angels. This is in German. It's 110 cards Oracle deck. The book is in German as well. It describes each of the Aura-Soma bottles up to 100 and something, 106, 107, 108 Aura-Soma cards. And basically what Darsha Willing did, she has created or taken photographs of Aura-Soma bottles when they're shaken and the light shines through it. So she's created this like yummy color deck of, liquid gold. It's just a beautiful imagery, beautiful colors, lollipops. So if you're a color lover, if you like working with Aura-Soma system, if you like working with chakras, or if you like working just with pure imagery that is abstract, but you can still read maybe into it, I think this is an interesting deck to look at. And it has many, many cards, which always is a plus in an oracle deck in my world. So this is the Farbender angle. And then the Aura-Soma Tarot, which I received from Krishna Priya, always grateful for this. It's a weird tarot deck, right? Because I don't know if you can still get this tarot with the bottle bags, maybe from some eBay or, sell side second-hand decks, because I think they split ways. Pamela Matthews is the artist who created this tarot deck, and Mike Booth kind of is the head of Aura-Soma, and I think he went away now from all this kind of new age stuff. And as you can see, the art is quite new agey, but I really love this deck. I still love it. It's a great deck that I use often, Aura-Soma system, as a confirmation or expansion to my astrology readings. So if you ever get like a life purpose reading from me, you probably will get your vibration of the birth as well, because I think that always confirms the astrology and it works really nicely. But this deck has 2 sets of major arcana. I have a review of this deck, of course. Most of these decks you can check the reviews in the playlist that I have, Oracle and Tarot reviews. And so it has 2 sets of major arcana and added archangel and angel cards. So unusual, a very unusual deck. So I was thinking of sharing with you, or maybe when we're on the religious decks, that I have to mention the Mysteries of Mary and Mysteries of the Black Madonna tarot decks. I did etch my in red, but this is the Black Madonna. Both decks are, of course, created by Hettienne Grobler, and she makes this amazing altars, which are like, 3-dimensional, really beautiful, incredible pieces of art. And she takes pictures of these altars, and then we have decks to play. So if you're into any goddess lineage work, into working with Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene, or just goddess lineage, I would say, because Haitian connects Mary to so many different goddesses. And if you ever done any divine feminine work with Mary, you know that she is like a carrier of much older lineage. So these decks, Mysteries of Mary and the Black Madonna Tarot deck, are both really incredible. So I'm going to put this one aside, and there's one more actually from the, let's call them religious decks, that I thought it's worth sharing. So this is called the Holy Card Tarot, and it's based on holy cards. I don't know if you can hear the little dog downstairs, but sometimes it just goes off. And since I have this new mic, it picks up everything. So I say hello to the little dog of my neighbors. But yeah, that's what happens when you live in a block of flats. So basically these are images of the holy pictures, and look at this Joan of Arc, so cute. And I love that moon with the Bernadette and Mary. So if you like this type of, you know, work, Christian saints, Christian artwork, you might be enjoying this deck. I do have a full review of this deck as well. So the Holy Card Tarot, you can take a look, and it's definitely on the weird side of things, as a lot of the decks that I'm showing you, right? Or we can say all of them. Okay, so let's move on now. I wanted to actually share this deck of character as one of the weird and cute decks. So it has 3 sets of, we can say 3 piles. It has characters, it has places, and it has tools. So if you wanna, you know, pick a character from the deck, like what can we think of today? Today there is the self. So what tool does the self need to really, you know, embrace oneself or get to know each other, get to know itself better? So the tool for the self is war. This is the 2nd time I picked this war. Before I recorded this video 3 times, guys, so please just bear with me. Before that, I pulled the angsty teen, and the tool was war as well, and the places were was house under construction. And I felt like, you know, there's a lot of anxiety in people and in all of us. There's a lot of huge, potent, powerful forces that often are kind of turned against us. I think the humans in most of cases want to live in peace. And then there is just this certain amount of people that unfortunately have power that can turn this around and against the regular humans. Because if you travel, people are generally nice, people are generally welcoming, people are generally wanting to interact, they want to be connected, they want to be, you know, together and just live and let live. But yeah, of course, we have the exceptions to this, and right now there's so much war, suffering, tragedy happening. But it's interesting that now the place where maybe the self can really connect to itself rather than externalize the pain, the anger, the frustration, the suffering, it happens maybe in the womb. So something that's very intimate, something that's very inside of us, something that's like maybe the self needs to be really understood, and rather than maybe destroyed, it needs to be embraced and cocooned. And that's maybe how we connect to the inner child, how we take care of ourselves, how we purely look after ourselves, because the external situations can be very powerful and very jarring for ourselves. And yeah, I just heard from my friend, Victoria, yesterday about passing of Poppy Palin. I never worked with her deck, so she created the enchanted day. Oh, sorry, I just blacked out right now. But she created this beautiful deck for like ordinary life, ordinary people doing this stuff. And she left actually 3 videos before she took her life. And I just listened to the first one. When you listen to it, you realize how many of us feel so sad and so alone and so like at the end of our ropes, frustrated, sad, vulnerable, but we don't reach out, we don't ask for help, or we see there is no way past certain points. Poppy was sharing that she's lost her beloved, she's lost her parents. There was things that like just didn't go the way she was hoping to, and yeah, it's just very, very sad to see it. And she was part of our community, so you know, even though I didn't know her, I feel affected by her death, and I hope that, you know, we'll remember you, Poppy, and I hope you find peace wherever you went. So another deck that I wanted to share, which is a very strange and obscure deck, it's Oracle 77, and this is by Elias K. I think, I don't know how to pronounce it, it's in French. I received it a couple of years ago actually. And it is a very, very peculiar oracle deck. As you can see, it's tiny, it has square, and each of the cards is actually connected with a line. So all the cards connect with one another, and if you want to, you know, it's like a light language. So if you want to read it, you basically just create stories based on the symbols or what the symbols are reminding you of. And there's all these different things. There's 77 or more cards. I think 77, obviously 77 keys. And as you can see, you kind of, so here the hand extends into the spiral, here the hands extend into the like couple or projections. There's a spiral going on here, and here signatures, house, woman, fire, you know, whatever your intuition makes you see. I think this deck is pretty cool. Again, I kind of forgot about it, but I am going to pull it out now and maybe use it a bit more often, because as I said, I like to stretch my brain. I like to use decks that are not so obvious at times and allow my brain to, you know, exercise brain. I have these 2 decks by Heather Mendel. They're very strange. One is the Syzygy Oracle, and this basically has the mandala for each of the sephira of the Tree of Life, and it has the major arcana archetypes, okay? So attending would be I Listen, is the 6th card, and it's very alchemical, it's very Kabbalistic. She has, you know, attached the Hebrew letters and the keywords, and she really put like color, symbolism. There's a book that goes with this deck. I don't have it, but you can take a look, and there's this little Syzygy Oracle little booklet that comes with questions. So if I wanted to pick a question for us, this is the backs, by the way. So if we wanted to pick one card, so it's about Spark, Sephira 1, celebrate diversity, sanctify life. So basically what we were talking about, and now I want to pick one of the compassion I picked as well, but I want to pick one of the tarot majors. So this is I Seek, it's questing, it's number 10, but I think this is the Hermit. Let me see how she did that. Yeah, the Hermit. So she started with the Fool as 1. So this is I Seek with the Hermit, and the questions that that we receive with it, with this questing. And I love this image, it's actually beautiful. It says the archetype is Illuminator, the theme is Longing, the mentor is Hestia, gift curiosity, pathway is innovation and physicality. So questions are very simple questions. Who are you? Who or what do you worship? How do you enter the wilderness? Can you be alone without feeling lonely? So this is the Hermit questions. I actually really like her decks. So this is the Syzygy Oracle. I actually wish I gotten the book. Maybe her books is, maybe they're still available. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. But yeah, Syzygy Oracle, and then the Sacred Mandala. Lenormand is a Lenormand deck with all these like extra cards. You can pick how man, woman, child, book, and so on. And it's basically just like on the black background, as you can see, and you get just the symbol of the shape of the key, the bear, and you get also a mandala. So here you know what's shown. So the clover, this number, yeah, and that's basically the Lenormand. So if you just like put a couple of cards together, that's how they look, and I think that's sweet. I like it. So Heather Mendel's decks, I rarely see her decks mentioned, so I'm not sure if they're still available. I remember I have gotten them ages ago from some, you know, swap with someone. Now let's share a couple of photographic decks, because I'm actually not such a big fan of photographic decks, but when they are not so obvious, when they are a little bit different, when they are a little bit on the unusual side, I feel like, you know, I can connect with them better. So the Witch's Tarot by Chris Madsen. Some people don't appreciate how Chris sees women. I actually have totally no problem with it. I think it's actually quite interesting. And I have to say that like some of the images, like for example, this one wouldn't be my favorite image at all. I like more these types of images when things are not so obvious, not one-to-one. He has some extra cards added to the tarot. So, but you get all these different feminine bodies, but I like more the artistic versions of them when they're not like, this is amazing hell, and Knight of Wands, like it's cool. So everywhere where he's kind of like, it goes into my intuition, to my imagination a bit more. I prefer it than when I have just, you know, a regular, and thank God there's not too many of those regular images. But like, yeah, this one is not my favorite, let's say. But yeah, these ones are great. I love this Five of Cups with the cloud. So this is the Chris Madsen's Witch's Tarot. If you enjoy this type of photography and artwork, it's edged black. It is on the like rose petal size, so it's not very slippery when you shuffle. You've got to like work out with this deck a bit, but it's a very beautiful deck. And if you want to get it, Chris is one of not many artists that actually gave me an affiliate link, so you can purchase it. I linked it under my review of it. Another one that I got at some point was Dawn Zichko's Everyday Tarot. It's a square deck, and again, it's a simple photography deck that Dawn created for herself. I think it's also not spoken enough about. It has this reworked photography pictures, and because they are not literal in most cases, not so obvious, I actually really like it, and I'm not using it often enough. I just realized, you know, I have so many decks, but this is a deck that is quite sweet and has something special to offer, and I enjoyed working with it. Every time I do enjoy working with it. So Dawn Zichko's Everyday Tarot. I'm not even sure if Dawn is still selling these decks or not, but you can find her on Instagram. Yeah, and this is her name, Dawn Zichko. And then there is a Bissell Tarot, which, oh my god, what did I do? Which I received from my friend Victoria, as many other decks. And I actually am very grateful to Vicky, because if not for her, you know, you wouldn't be able to see many of these decks that I'm showing, because yeah, she graciously supplied me with a lot of decks that I own. And I love this deck. Again, I'm not using it very often. It's not a deck that's maybe an everyday deck, but the photography was taken underwater, and it's actually really amazing. It can be triggering for some, specifically if you have some, you know, sexual violence experiences and stuff like this, because some of the images are quite literal and, you know, depending how people react to them. So it can be quite triggering, but yeah, I actually really appreciate it, and it can be a great shadow work deck, but some of the images are just so incredible. Like, how is this Three of Cups? Wow. And there is another couple of that I love, like the, can I find it now? Probably not. But yeah, as you can see, some of the colors are amazing. The Magician looks pretty cool, I thought. Yeah, some of them are really incredible. Some of them are a bit scary. But this is another photography deck that's definitely not obvious and not one-on-one, and brings you just the wealth of experience and different approach. So now the Oracle of Initiation, my favorite Oracle deck of all times, is by Melissa Lucia, and these are the backs. And you know, this deck is specifically like coupled together with the booklet. It's just amazing initiatory tool. So if you're going through anything in your life, an initiation, this is great for creative process. This is great for dealing with suffering, dealing with death, dealing with rebirth, you know, all this stuff that's coming. It's deep. Each of the cards has attached a guardian to itself. The book is written in such a way that you will feel inspired, even if you're going through the darkest of moments. It's not glamorizing anything. It's really taking things as they are. I love it. It has the gateways, which you're moving through in your process. Sanctified, one of my favorite cards. Mixture of Mary Magdalene and Jesus. How cool is that? Black Madonna, Odin. There's so many different beings that were invited to, you know, during the creation of this deck. So this is, and it's going to be definitely one of my favorite decks ever. And I hope you guys you know, appreciate it. And if you like original weird art, this is a way to go for sure. Okay, let's move on. Another curiosity deck, the Embroidered Forest Tarot. It's by Alicia May Vamvoukakis. I know that she was married to a Greek guy. She's British, but she has embroidered her tarot deck, and that was on Kickstarter at some point. It's silver gilded. It's beautiful. It's definitely on the, you know, it's pippish, because in the minors you don't get too much kind of info. You just get sunflowers, or, you know, foxes for wands, or swords. There are bees, but the majors are so beautiful, and she like silver foiled them. And again, I'm not reaching enough for this deck. It's so awesome. So yeah, this is the Embroidered Forest Tarot by Alicia. And I have an interview with Alicia as well on the Inspired Tarot Map. You will find a lot of interesting interviews with deck creators on my Inspired Tarot Map interviews. And I'm actually planning to restart this interview series again. And I have a first interview planned with someone really fascinating. I'm just waiting for the deck to arrive so that I can familiarize myself with, and I promise you will be enjoying what I'm bringing you next on Inspired Tarot Map. Have I spoken about the Tildwick Tarot? I'm not sure. I don't know if this is the photographic deck, or, you know, computerized images that were digitally created, or photographs that were taken and then digitally reworked, probably maybe something like this. But isn't it the craziest deck of all? You have all these interior designs, gardens and things that you have to really zoom into. So this is the death card. You will be looking and, you know, like death in the background, some other like gateways, light, you know, you find some little symbolism that reminds you of the archetype of the tarot that it shows. So this is Eight of Swords, you know, the barbed wire and so on. So this deck is very strange. This is Four of Swords with the wheelchair. You get the Four of Swords image here in on the card from, you know, Tarot de Marseille style. So interesting deck, very different, very unusual, very strange. Kind of definitely not a beginner's deck, I would say. It's probably very hard to read. I still have the old edition from 2013. I know they reprinted it now. It was out of print for a while because the creator has passed away. So now you can get it in another, a new edition. Another deck that I want to just mention, because I've spoken about this deck in length, and I also have an interview with Amy One. She's the creator of this deck. It's a deck for wonder walking, and it's an amazing deck to take with you on spiritual walks. So Amy loves nature. She created all these paintings while walking herself, and what we get out of these decks, it's really inspiration to zoom in, zoom out, kneel, jump, take a different perspective on what we see, and use our creative imagination to work with, you know, with our fantasy, with our feelings, with our emotions, and with nature as a teacher and inspiration. So also, if you get this deck, you can get the journal that Amy created, and it's a wonderful companion, and it has a lot of creative prompts. Okay, one of my favorite curiosity decks is a deck from Angela Mary Magic, and it's called the Moon Baby Magic Tarot, and I love this deck so much, and I'm actually binging on Angela's videos on YouTube. So if you want to find Angela, you can take a look at her work on YouTube, by Angela Mary Magic. That's how she is called, and this is her baby. I love this deck. It's the quirkiness to, you know, to the point. She uses the moon phases, she uses the colors, she uses the quirkiest art ever, she uses keywords, she added song to each of the cards. You get an upright meaning, you get the reverse meaning. This is the only deck I use with reversals. I just love handling this deck. I love the colors, always makes me kind of perks me up like Angela's videos. So I highly recommend Angela's Moon Baby Magic Tarot. I know that probably right now it's out of print, but I hope she's going to reprint it, because why not? Why not? Another crazy deck, I don't know if you remember, this one is the Botanical Deck, really beautiful box. It's by Jessica Bott. She's from our community as well. She's created quite a lot of decks. It was a Kickstarter purchase a couple of good years ago. It's about 120 or something cards, and it's just botanicals. So it is a tarot deck and oracle deck in one. So you get all these different suits like poisons, medicine, cacti, herbs, mushrooms, flowers, and there is trees, spices, you know, poisons, so crops. It's fascinating, and the artwork is so sweet, you know, and I actually really love, you know, when you put the cards together and they make this cool sound when shuffled. I just really enjoy it. So when you pull a couple of cards together, you know, they just create visual feast for an artist's eye. I love the colors, and how beautiful is that, hey? Oh, please. So I'm not sure if this deck is still in print, to be honest. You know, I've been in tarot world for a very, very long time. Soon I will be feeling vintage myself, and I will have probably a lot of decks that are not available anymore, but maybe it's not so bad just yet. But this Botanical Tarot deck, yeah, you guys, you know, you guys have hands, you guys have brains, just check Google. So this is Cosmo Vision's Oracle, set of cards to ease your soul. It's interesting because it's 79 deck cards by James James Reeds. And I have to say, it's from 2020, it's the Kickstarter as well. But I got it because I fascinated by the subject matter, right? It's like what happens to us when we die, or what happens to the soul, like what are the stages of our journey after death. And yeah, he's created this like map with his very unique, but you know, if you see this artwork, you know it's him. His original art, and the suits create the stories as in all of his decks. So you can see that when you put the cards together, you know, they kind of create a landscape. I've never played with this deck yet. I mean, I pulled cards and shuffled a couple of times, but I didn't get into it. And every time I pull it, I'm like, shit, it's like, looks so cool. And look at this, you know, opalescent edging, and you know, it's just made beautifully. It looks amazing. It has interesting booklet as well. I will get into it, but I think it definitely could fit the curiosity department for sure. I'm nearly finished here, guys. There's a couple of more decks to go. So there is the Energy Archaeology Oracle. With, if you had any readings with me, you probably would have gotten one of these cards. I pull one card for a client, for every client nearly. Sometimes maybe I forget, but a lot of times you will get one of those. So this is a deck that works on like body anatomy, and mostly it's created by Ashley Stinson and Ashley Stinson, and she you know, showed us how the energy like how the energy flows through our bones, and what emotional and bodily associations and connections there are between the psyche, the body, the bones, energy, and so on. So it's a fascinating deck, it's a fascinating story, and I highly appreciate it, and I love it and use it. And Ashley's work seems like, you know, to be really great. And then there's also this little deck, a couple of people have shown it in these videos. It's Antique Anatomy Tarot. I do have that first edition, I think. Oh no, this is the second edition actually. I think I also got it either from Victor, I can't remember even. I really love it. I love that it doesn't have any plants added. It's just this, you know, skeleton dudes doing things. It's very smart. If you know tarot, it's actually, you can read it, even though it seems so obscure and strange. But this is, for example, you know, the death card, and this would be the fire. So 10 of fire, when you know, your spine is kind of breaking. This is 10 of water, like the rainbow from the bones, and you're flexible. This is Earth Queen, you know, it's 5 of earth, when you kind of you lost your head a little bit, not good. 8 of fire, you know, with the 8 of wands floating in the air. So it's a pretty sweet and funky and kind of fun deck. And then the Oracle of Oddities that goes nicely with it. I only have this third edition because I like that chakra kind of images. So yeah, it's great, and with added plants and added color, they look really nice together. So definitely on the curiosity end. And I think the last one that I want to share, two last ones, okay? One is the Red Seeds Tarot, and what's strange about this one, or strange, you know, it's definitely a curious deck, and strange and original. It's by Linda Hill and Red Seeds Art, and she has created this deck as like a map of Eleusinian mysteries, and this is her original artwork, and she's depicting what, you know, how the mysteries, with epopties, she's using all these Greek, old Greek words, and how the epoptile goes on into this, you know, initiatory process, or through this process, and she created this whole tarot deck based on this. So there's Demeter, there's Persephone, there's Pluto, there's priestesses, priests, hierophants, and so on. It's incredible, and the booklet that comes with it, it's also great. So if you even know nothing about this, you will find out if you have the if you have this deck and the companion book. And the last one that I'm going to share is this River Spirits deck by Carol Herzer. I purchased this in 2020, you know how it goes. We never knew what's going to happen to us in 2020, right? Jeez, humanity is up for an adventure. We've been up for it since 2020, maybe even end of 2019. But now, you know, we still at the end of those cycles. Pluto is going to be changing signs next year, and 2025. Neptune will be going into Aries. A lot of endings, a lot of beginnings. We have started with some beginnings in 2020, but there's still big endings happening to us. So yeah, unfortunately, it's like we're not quite over the threshold yet, or maybe fortunately, who knows? And you know, somehow just hold on. So Carol has taken pictures of water, and what she created through the symmetric photos is like she noticed that, you know, there's some of the like funky images that resemble like ghosts or guides or beings, and these cards are really great if you want to maybe step outside of the familiar and really let your imagination run wild and check, you know, what do you see in the cards, how do you see them. And it was 120 images. I kind of edited my deck a little bit because some were quite repetitive, so I chucked some away. Also, it's easier to handle because there's just so many of them. But yeah, it's a very interesting deck. Reminds me of Meg's deck with the trees, the tree oracle, which she did the symmetric tree images. I should have pulled it out, but I forgot. So this is by Carol Herzer. All right, guys. Oh, one more, Jesus. Okay, and this is it. If you're still here, thanks for hanging out with me. So this is Tarot Droga, and this is a Polish deck, and the curious thing about it is that all the major arcana are connected by a pathway, but when you put them out in a chronological order, the pathway creates like a closed circle, you know, so like the world card and full card connect, and you start this journey and you go on and move on through all these different archetypal initiations. The main minors are, as you see, created, like generated by computer, and they like kind of pip deck, but the majors and the court cards, Marzena Mirewicz-Czumaczenko, she created on the clay blocks, and then she actually took pictures of it. So it's quite a different, unusual deck, and it was out of print for a very long time, and now she has reprinted it. It's the second edition with 2 changed cards. Unfortunately, not great changes, I think, but yeah, if you want to use it, it's much easier to use because it's smaller than the first edition and just usable. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. Candy, thank you for inspiration. I hope you guys enjoyed all these amazing, weird, beautiful, fascinating decks that I have shown and shared with you. And yeah, till the next time, thank you for watching. Bye.